I'm going to show you how to configure auto throw for the Hare, which is an accessory decoder for the Tortoise Switch Machine. I'm Tom Kovichak, and this is Tom's Trains and Things. This channel was created to help other modelers who are in need of guidance in pursuing their dream of building a model railroad. Now, DCC Specialties has a Hare, which is an accessory decoder for the Tortoise Switch Machine. It has a lot of functions. Some time ago, I did an introduction to it, and I'll give you a link to the video in the description. What I'm going to show you now is how to configure the auto throw feature. In part of my project, Crossing Rock Creek, I cut some gaps in the track on my reversing loop. Now, it wasn't for the reversing section on the loop, but to actuate the turnout coming into the reversing loop, so I wouldn't have to be switching back and forth from clear to thrown. In order for this to work, you have to have a short trigger section on each one of the rails leading into the turnout, and that's what I did. I had to cut two gaps on each one of the rails. I had to jumper in between the sections and run a wire from the short trigger section back to the Hare, so it could automatically throw the turnout. Now I'm going to show you how I did that. The reason I'm showing you this now is before I proceed with putting the tunnel portals in there permanently and putting the scenery over top of it, I had to check out the work that I did. That's what I'm going to show you right now, is how I checked it out and how I configured the Hare to get it to work properly. This first step requires us to change the dip switches on S1 marked as power routing. The first thing we want to do is determine which direction our arm is in the clear position. As you could see by the chart on the left hand side, we could do this very easily. As you can see, mine is on the right, so we will use the numbers in the right hand column. The first two dip switches are always the same. They're on. So from there we go off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on. If your arm is facing to the left, you would do just the opposite. If you do not set these dip switches, your automatic throw feature will not work. In the user's manual, you could clearly see where the clear rail and clear frog are, and the throw rail and throw frog are. I jotted down in my user's guide what colors go to what terminals, so when I'm underneath the layout, I'd be able to determine where to put my wires on the terminal board. It's important to get these wires correct, otherwise it may not work or you can cause a short. As you can see on this diagram, number 5 is hooked to the frog. If you have an electric frog, you will need this wire on there. Since I have an insulated frog, I do not have any need to use number 5. To give you an indication of what direction your turnout is in, you could use a 2-pin bicolor LED for that, or if you don't have a 2-pin bicolor LED, you could use a green and red LED and wire it in this configuration on the chart. Since I don't have a control panel hooked up yet, I just put the LED directly on the terminals of the Hare. You can also operate your turnout manually with something as simple as a push button switch to just toggle it back and forth, or you could hook up a single pole double throw toggle switch with a center off position, so you could go from thrown to clear and have it in the center position when you're not using it. You could also put a lockout in there, which I'll show all the diagrams right here. I'll show you a short clip of how I tested it on the layout. Okay, one camera I have underneath the bench work, and the other camera is coming out where the tunnel portal should be. I'm going to apply power right now. And you can see that I have an indication on the LED. I'm going to select the switch. I'm going to go to the thrown position, which gives you the red. I'm going to go to the green now, the clear position. Alright, now we're going to run the locomotive over there. And we're going to watch it reverse automatically. Okay, it should be coming out of the tunnel now, coming around to the reversing section. It's coming around to where it will be triggered. It's coming up on the trigger section now. The light goes out, it switches, and now it's in the thrown position. Okay, let me reverse this and we'll do it the opposite way. It'll be coming out of the tunnel. And I don't have to go on my throttle to switch the turnout back and forth as it comes around. It does it automatically. The locomotive's coming around now to the trigger area. It should be hitting the trigger area about right now. It switched it to clear, and there we go. And we'll do this one more time the opposite way. I may have to move the double gap for my reversing section because it's a little bit too close to the trigger area. And here we're coming up on the trigger. When the light goes out, that's when it hits the trigger. And then we're back. And we're good to go. For more information on how to configure the Hare, you could check the info card on a video that I did several months ago. There are many other features available on the Hare which are beyond the scope of this video. I'm glad I did most of my wiring on this layout about a 3 years ago, because now it's getting harder and harder to get underneath there, crawling around and doing the wiring. I could fill it for a couple of days afterwards. The videos are still coming. They're just taking a little bit longer to get finished when it involves crawling underneath the layout. So until the next time, we'll see ya.